What is going on, all of you amazing gamers out there in the world? I am MegaAmpster. Thank you for checking out this YouTube video here, whether you are a new or returning viewer. Appreciate you coming by. Thanks for being here. And over the last few years in particular, I feel like I've really gotten good about trying out different video game series that I've never played before. A bunch that come to mind in the last few years in particular are Monster Hunter with Monster Hunter Rise. I played Monkey Ball for the first time with Banana Mania. I tried out Street Fighter 6 when that game launched, Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, Klonoa Fantasy Reverie Series, Pac-Man World Repack, just to name a few different examples. Kingdom Hearts 1 I checked out for the first time a couple years ago, so I've definitely been trying a lot of new game series that I never played before, but there are still, as you know, there are so many video games out there, so many gaming series out there with multiple entries, and so I wanted to kind of loosely rank 10 different video game series that I still haven't checked out to this day that I want to definitely check out at some point in the near future. Just a couple little caveats and honorable mentions before we get started here. So what do I mean? What do I qualify as a video game series, right? For me, how I'm going to judge it for this video is at least 2 entries in a video game series that are kind of labeled as such, right? So definitely, as long as they're in the same series. There could be multiple series within a franchise. For example, if I've played a franchise before, but it's a particular series that I never checked out, that totally counts as well. So as long as there's at least 2 games in there. So before we get started here, just some honorable mentions and some disqualifications. I mean, there are so many, so I'm gonna try to go through some of these rapid fire because there are just too many other gaming series that I've been mildly curious about, but just didn't quite make the cut. For example, Mega Man Battle Network. I'm not a big RPG guy. I hear those are kind of RPGs in a way. I love Mega Man. I've played all the others, well, not all the other, most of the other series at this point. Played a lot of those games, but Battle Network's not super high on my list, but I hear great things, so maybe one day. As a Sonic fan, I have to shout out Sonic Rivals, the PSP racing games. I'm not super interested in playing those games. I don't think I ever will, to be honest, but it's on the list. Dragon Quest is up there. I definitely want to check it out at some point. I own 8 on 3DS, but as someone who's not a huge turn-based RPG fan, those are like the core turn-based RPGs, so I'm kind of like, I'm not in a rush to check them out, but at some point for sure. Tekken and Mortal Kombat, I put both of these in the honorable mentions. I'm not a huge fighting game player as well. I'm slowly trying to get into more series, like I mentioned, Street Fighter. And like those games, I do want to play those series at some point, but they're not super high on my list. They just didn't quite make the cut. Chibi Robo is one of those that I could definitely maybe check out the GameCube game at some point. I'm definitely not going to check out Ziplash on 3DS, but if Nintendo would actually like release those games in a better way on modern platforms, that'd be great. I don't know if they ever will, but maybe. I mean, they seem interesting. They seem unique. Shenmue, almost, as someone who's a big Dreamcast fan, as you can probably tell by my shirt, I own the 1 and 2 collection, and actually I own 3. I got that for free through Epic Game Store. I'll check it out one of these days, but it's not super high on the list either. The one that came closest to making the top 10 was Bioshock. Bioshock just barely missed it for me. Those games seem really interesting. I own the remastered collection, so I'd love to check out at least the first game at some point, and maybe Infinite later on, but just did not quite make the cut. Rayman, one of those things, I played like the Legends demo for maybe like 10 minutes and really enjoyed it, but haven't fully played the games or the 3D ones to be fair, but I want to check those out as a platformer fan. Assassin's Creed, some of these like Assassin's Creed, Mass Effect, Horizon, like maybe one day we'll see. Assassin's Creed in particular, like seems super cool. I just want to check out the right one that would definitely appeal to me. Maybe one of the shorter ones like Mirage or something. Mass Effect and Horizon, same thing, like casual passing interest maybe one day. Knights of the Old Republic, I've heard great things about. That's one I just missed growing up. But maybe at some point, that's another BioWare game that I should check out. The Star Wars Jedi series, like Fallen Order and Survivor. I own Fallen Order, and I definitely want to check it out at some point, but it just did not quite make the top 10, but it's up there. And finally, Spider-Man, the Insomniac Spider-Man games. I do want to check those out too. I own the original now on Steam Deck, but just did not quite make the cut as well. Some of these were super close, but I'm not like, I don't feel like I need to play these games immediately. That's kind of the whole thing of these honorable mentions, but some of them made it close, like Bioshock for sure. A couple of disqualifications, as you're seeing here. Persona, I almost put mainline Persona on this list, and if it was, it totally would have been number 1. The thing is, I've played Strikers before playing the original Persona 5, funnily enough, but ATLUS considers that game like a direct sequel to the regular Persona 5, and even though it is a different gameplay style, it's closer to an action RPG, or some, because it's developed by Koei Tecmo, the ones who did the Warriors games, which is different from the turn-based of the mainline series. It's still, like my earlier caveat I said, I still rank it in that same group. So just barely did not make the cut, but if mainline Persona was on this list, it definitely would be at the top of the list because I'm dying to play Persona 5 very, very soon. Another one, the last disqualification before we get into this list that I kind of wanted to consider, but then didn't ultimately consider it, was Okami, because Okami's technically a series. It has 2 games, the original, and then there's a one on DS, Okami Den, which I'll be honest, I don't have any desire to play that game. Even if I enjoy the HD version, which I do own, I do want to play at some point, like, I'm not going to have any desire to play the DS one. So I just didn't feel like it felt right to include it here as a series. But as a standalone game, definitely I want to check out Okami in the near future. But that is going to do it for that part of the honorable mentions and disqualifications. So with that, let's move on to the actual top 10 list here. So at number 10, like I mentioned, I'm not a huge RPG series fan, but there are some that have definitely captured my interest. I mainly don't love turn-based RPGs. Now, this series, from the very little knowledge I have, doesn't seem to be turn-based. It seems to be more action-oriented, which definitely appeals to me more. So I've been very curious to check about it. I do own one of these games on Switch, and there are plenty of games to choose from, and I hear great things about them. So definitely want to check these out at some point. And that, at number 10, is the Tales of series. Now, I do own Tales of Vesperia, the HD version, on Switch. Tales fans, let me know in the comments below if that's a good one to start with, or should I try a different one as well. I know Symphonia is also a fan favorite, but just like what I've been hearing is just like ever since they tried to keep re-releasing Symphonia after the GameCube version, it's just like the performance has been like so much worse and worse. You know what I mean? I hear the Switch version isn't like the optimal way to play. I think the best way to play is still the GameCube version at that solid 60 frames, which for a game like this, I could see it being useful, maybe not necessary, but still like useful. I don't know. But just talking about the series overall again, like I do really love the aesthetic. I'm slightly familiar with a couple of these characters from Project Cross Zone, where they were featured in. But like this gameplay looks super flashy. The flashy moves remind me a lot of Project Cross Zone. So the combat looks appealing. I believe it's more action-based. Definitely let me know in the comments below, Tales of fans, if that's the case, because just this definitely appeals to me more as a result. You know, I mean, it is seems like over-the-top anime, but at the same time, like, I mean, I think that's a cool aesthetic, and like if the gameplay's fun, you know, if it's more action than turn-based, like that definitely appeals to me more. And it's one of those series that I definitely want to check out. But Tales fans, besides Vesperia, definitely let me know in the comments below if there are other Tales games that I should check out. Should I check out the HD version of Symphonia? Even like, I don't know if I'll get the original GameCube version, but should I check out the remastered version? Like, is that sufficient enough? But definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But let's move on to number 9 on this list. This is an interesting series because, as far as I'm aware, there really isn't a current on modern platforms. There's no way to play these games currently. Well, technically mobile, but besides that, like consoles or PC, I don't believe there's a way. Definitely correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about this, but it's one series that I'd love to check out, especially, you know, as I've been catching up on the Ace Attorney series. This is not a court-based game, but it is, from what I understand, a little more of a visual novel, but with more puzzle elements and kind of like adjacent to this series. And it's definitely one that I would like to check out. That at number 9 is the Professor Layton series. Now, I know these games are on mobile. I've been looking into Curious Village, which I believe, is that the first one? Let me know in the comments below, Professor Layton fans. Shout out to Jared. I was talking to him about it because I bought, before the 3DS eShop closed down, I didn't buy any of the main Professor Layton games, but I did buy the crossover game with Ace Attorney, which is why I brought it up. And he was like, you should probably play an actual Professor Layton game before you play the crossover. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's valid. So let me know where I should play this. Is mobile? I feel like mobile would be a good place to play these games. I mean, not desirable, but like considering Level 5 hasn't re-released them on modern platforms, from what I understand, like that might be the best way to play it now. Or I hold out for hopefully an inevitable collection, which I mean would make sense, especially for promoting New World of Steam, which I believe is slated for 2025. I would love that. You know, these seem like really fun puzzle adventure games. I've heard they're really good and really clever, and they make you feel smart with the puzzle design. So I would definitely love to be able to check out, especially some of the original games before I even start that Ace Attorney crossover game. So it seems like it'd be really fun. Like the visual aesthetic, like the look here, especially with the steampunk, is definitely appealing. So definitely let me know, Professor Layton fans, which games I should be checking out and on which platforms in the comments below. I know there's the one on Switch that's, I think, features is Professor Layton's niece, maybe? But I don't know if that's a good one to start with. If it is, let me know. But that is number 9 on the list. Now, number 8, we're finally getting to some indie games here. Now, small series, very relatively recent series, especially compared to a lot of these other ones. This series is one that I was around for the launch of, and I was kind of like paying attention to it. I played the demo of it before the game launched originally on PC. And as a Sonic fan, this series definitely appeals to me, and I own the first game, and it's one that I definitely want to dive into a little more. And that at number 8 is the Freedom Planet series. Now, I mean, there's not much to say with this one. Definitely appeals to me a lot. in terms of the gameplay, because definitely let me know, Freedom Planet fans, in the comments below. Was this originally, did this project start off as a Sonic ROM hack, like a lot of these kind of Sonic-inspired indie games have, and then they kind of go off into their own offshoot? Because I remember this being at one of the Sages, was Sage 2014 maybe? I don't know. Like early on for the Sonic Fan Games Expo, whatever it was. But this game just super appeals to me, just like the gameplay style, having multiple different characters, the very fast-paced kind of progression level design here, the platforming, all the different multiple routes you can take, like, and the pixel art looks gorgeous in these games. So definitely something I want to check out as a Sonic fan. It's been on my radar for a while. I own the first one on Switch, so I kind of don't have an excuse at this point. Definitely want to check out. It's not super high on the list. Like, I'm not feeling like a huge need to play it anytime super soon, but it's up there. It's one that I definitely want to check out. And hey, always good to play more indie games and check them out. And if I like the first one enough, maybe I'll have to check out the sequel, because I believe that's launched on Switch now. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about that, but I believe it is. So definitely seems like a good one to check out. But that is number 8 on the list. Number 7. This is a, I don't know if is it correct to say storied series or franchise that is kind of a classic if you owned a certain console back in the 90s, and recently in the last 5 years or so kind of came back around, and now the publisher or developer behind it seems to be, you know, promoting it and they're making a new game even for this, which is kind of crazy. I'm not a huge fan of beat 'em ups, but this is the one beat 'em up series that I really want to dive into and try out, and that at number 7 here is Streets of Rage. Streets of Rage 4 coming out, what was that, 2021, 2020? It's not super old. It's within the last 5 years, I believe. Definitely correct me if I'm wrong on that release here in the comments below. But even the classic series, like, I own the first 3 games. I have access to play them. Still haven't picked up 4, but 4 looks gorgeous. And I mean, T-Lope's working on that Mr. Nightmare X DLC soundtrack. It's fantastic. It has so much style and persona. And like, if you know me, I love Sega. I love Sega properties. They just have a certain feel and vibe to them. Kind of in a similar way to Capcom for me. Like, they have their own feel. And these games, I feel like, just ooze that feel, especially like, you know, the feeling of the 90s, right? With the whole beat 'em up scenario and just like the visual elements of these. Like I said, I'm not huge on beat 'em ups, but this is the one series I would definitely be willing to check out more of. And they're working on that 3D one, which I'm a little worried about it going into full 3D like that. I think the 2D style that Streets of Rage 4 is replicating here is definitely preferred for this style of game, but maybe it'll make it a new, unique experience for modern audiences. I'm not sure. I want to hope that it'll be good, but who's to say with modern Sega? But the fact that they're making a new one is huge. You know what I mean? The fact that the Streets of Rage has seen more of a renaissance in the last 5 years or so. So it's great to see more people having the ability to check these games out, especially because, you know, Sega has so many great IPs that they don't utilize a lot. So this is one of them I definitely want to get more into. But that is number 7 on this list. Now, number 6, not a beat 'em up game, but the Game Awards would consider these 2 games to be in the same genre of fighting games. And this is the one fighting game series that I've definitely been a little more interested in. As someone who is a DC fan, this one has definitely appealed to me a lot more. And I hear some of the story modes for DC fans are actually supposed to be really good. You probably already know, if you're familiar with the games, you already know where I'm going with this. That at number 6 is Injustice. Now, Injustice is interesting because technically I played maybe like an hour of Injustice 1 on mobile. So definitely not the preferred way to play a fighting game, right? But even that premise, I mean, this was probably like 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, I don't even remember. When did Injustice 1 come out? Let me know in the comments below. It's a series, especially as like a big Batman fan, a big overall DC fan, I would love to check out just the whole darker edge of it, seeing the different characters interact. I've heard especially Injustice 2's campaign is supposed to be really, really cool for DC fans. And that is definitely something that would appeal to me more. I love story modes in fighting games. Like, I enjoyed World Tour and Street Fighter 6, and I want more. It seems like more fighting games, the more modern entries, have included a little more single-player content. I mean, even arcade mode can be fun, but like having like a story, especially with beloved characters, I think can really make a fighting game, at least to me, stand out a lot. So to have these DC characters in this overarching story that actually might be interesting to follow, like, that's pretty cool to me. I don't know. So definitely one I want to check out. I do own the first one on Steam, so I probably will check it out sooner rather than later. And it is definitely the fighting game series at this point, even above Tekken and Mortal Kombat for me, that I would like to check out at some point as a big DC fan. So that is number 6 on this list. All right, we are in the top 5, everybody. Number 5 is one that if you've watched any of my recent content on this channel, you actually heard me talk about this. This is a series, I mean, in a long-running franchise, but this is a particular series that I have not checked out yet, and this is kind of like the third pillar of series for this specific Nintendo franchise that I still have to check out. I've played a couple others in very recent time, actually streaming one right now as this recording. This is kind of the third series that honestly might appeal to me the most out of the three that I'm talking about. And yes, these are RPG series. You already know what I'm talking about. That at number 5 is Mario and Luigi. These games are interesting because I'll be honest, I'm feeling a little bit of the Mario RPG burnout because I streamed the Super Mario RPG Remake when that came out. I'm currently streaming, I'm about almost halfway through Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door Remake on Switch, and definitely enjoying that one more than Super Mario RPG Remake. But this series in particular seems to be the one that would really appeal to me because from what I understand, these are like platformer RPGs. And as a big fan of platformers, I think this would really appeal to me. Now, I've debated which game I should try out because this is the trailer, obviously, for the recently announced Mario and Luigi Brothership on Switch, which, I mean, looks gorgeous. Like, the animation style here looks amazing. There's so much personality in this game. That's what I love about these different Mario RPG series. Like, even Paper Mario has the same thing. Even how limited the original Mario RPG was, like, the amount of personality they got across in that game was honestly impressive. It kind of reminded me of like a Rare developed game, right? But this series in particular just looks super fun. The animation styles, the expressions of the brothers. I just love that they're working together, kind of going around the world and going around very unique places from like the regular Mario franchise and the regular Mario games. You know what I mean? So I feel like this would be the one that would definitely appeal to me the most. So I'm tempted to check out either this game when it comes out, or there's also Superstar Saga, the original, on the Game Boy Advance Nintendo Switch Online, which I'm also tempted by. Let me know in the comments below which one I should check out. I'm more tempted by this because I'm sure it's going to have more modern sensibilities, and I mean, it just looks gorgeous, and, you know, another sale to help hopefully support more games in this series going forward, because we all thought after Alpha Dream closed that it might be dead, but this series is still alive and well, clearly, by this new entry. So hopefully, I hope this does well, and hopefully we get more Mario and Luigi games in the future. But that is number 5 on this top 10 list. We're getting there. We're almost to the top 3, but we got to stop at number 4 first. This is an interesting one because kind of like with Final Fantasy VII, right? I don't have a huge interest in trying other Final Fantasy VII games. Or sorry, Final Fantasy games. Definitely want to check out all the Final Fantasy remakes, but other Final Fantasies, maybe at some point. But this is a similar situation where I really want to check out one specific game in this series that I've heard. It's heralded as one of the greatest games of all time. It is a series that I'm not, the style of game that I'm not thrilled about. But this would be the one that I'd be willing to give a good shot, especially because it's developed by Capcom. And I mean, Capcom makes great games. They have great IP, like I mentioned earlier. This series at number 4, which might surprise some of you for being this high, is Resident Evil. I am not a horror game fan. I'll be honest, I don't like getting scared. I just don't. I don't like horror movies. I don't really like horror games. Resident Evil 4 Remake, I really want to play. Because, I mean, it's regarded as one of the best games. Similar to Final Fantasy VII. It is regarded as one of the best games of all time. I'm really looking forward to eventually playing the remake of Final Fantasy VII after loving the story of the original. Gameplay, But I've heard great things about RE4 and the remake, and it looks really good. It's a little creepy, but like, I don't know. I feel like this could be really fun. I'm also a little biased because of crossover games like Marvel vs. Capcom 3, like Project Crosswind, where I've met some of these characters, and especially Leon and like Chris and Jill, and I want to check out their original series they're from. Like, Capcom has very storied and memorable IP. So, and especially because this is being a third-person shooter, this game definitely appeals to me more. I prefer third-person shooters to something like Resident Evil 7 or 8 that's first-person. Which is a natural evolution of the series, but like, I don't know, this definitely appeals to me more because you actually get to see who you're playing as. And I don't know, it seems like kind of goofy, like campy, but also horror, so I definitely feel like I would enjoy it. And I don't know, this is one I want to check out. Like, if this game goes on sale, I'm sure it has already, but if I ever catch it on sale, I'm probably gonna end up buying it on like Xbox or something because I really want to play this game. And if I end up enjoying it enough and being like okay with the horror element of it, I might check out like Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil 3. If they have a remake, Code Veronica, that's another Dreamcast game. Shout out to the Dreamcast. You know, the more modern games, hard to say, like 7 and 8, I'm not sure. Those might be a little too spooky for me, but I don't know. This seems like it'd be a fun one. And like, it's campy and fun and also kind of horror filled. So I don't know. I feel like that would alleviate some of the kind of creepy, gross factor for me. So I don't know. It's one that I really am curious about, mainly because of RE4 Remake. And hopefully at some point in the near future, I will check it out. But that is number 4 on the list here. We are finally into the top 3 here. Now, number 3, we're sticking with Capcom here. And this is a series I have played a lot of before or a franchise, I should say. I've played a lot of before in different series. But this is the one series that I want to check out right now from this overall franchise. And it's one that Capcom still hasn't done a collection for, despite them doing collections for a bunch of the other series, like I mentioned earlier, Battle Network. And this one is one that I would love to see them do. And that at number 3, as you might have a guess of, is Mega Man Legends. Now, I hear, shout out to this super old trailer for Mega Man Legends 2, which I believe these were PlayStation games. I know there was also, apologies for the quality, I know there was Mega Man 64 on Nintendo 64, which I believe was just kind of a reskin of Mega Man Legends 1. Definitely correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about that. But there's the 2 Mega Man Legends games, and there's also Misadventures of Tron-Bon, and there was supposed to be a third one. These games seem unique, but also really fun, right? The idea of like having that 3D shooter, and I've played Mega Man X7, where they tried to do the 3D with that game, and to mixed results. From what I've heard, these games are a lot more fun and a lot better designed in 3D. And kind of similar to like how I feel about like Power Stone, like this 3D era of Capcom, there's just something super fun about it for me. And it's a series that I would love to check out, but I don't own a PlayStation. I believe they're on the PlayStation Store, at least one of them is. And I don't have any way to play it. I would love a Legends collection on Switch, like the 2 games and Misadventures of Tron-Bon would be fantastic. I would totally buy that, even if it was like $60. I'd be like, give me that. Like, I'll take it. Give me that, you know? I would love to check them out because it seems so unique from all the other Mega Man series, and especially to have it in 3D as a 3D game fan. I'd love to check it out. It's a neat little history of Mega Man that I still have not checked out to this day. So it is high up on the list for me at number 3 here. Now, number 2, we're getting close. This one is interesting because I feel like this is such a memeable series, franchise, you could even argue, that I really do want to check out, and I just have not sat down and do it. I own one of the games, but as a Sega fan, I feel like this would be right up my alley. I know they're kind of long, and the gameplay might not be super appealing to me, but especially like the story and the characters around it just seems so goofy and fun that I really want to check it out. That at number 2 on this list is the Like a Dragon or Yakuza series. Now, I own Yakuza 0 on Xbox, which I hear is probably the best game to start with, right? Because it's kind of like a prequel. And so I definitely want to jump in and play that game at some point. But even the more recent games, like Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon or Infinite Wealth, like I hear great things about. I know those are turn-based, from what I understand. Definitely let me know, fans, in the comments below, which ones I should start off. But those, I still feel like just the goofiness I've seen from that game would carry me through. Like, with RPGs, if there's like an interesting enough premise to it, it can totally carry me through the game in terms of the story and the characters and everything going on behind the scenes. And especially the older ones probably appeal to me more in terms of the gameplay. I did play like maybe half an hour of Yakuza 0 when I had Game Pass, and I ended up buying it because I had a discount and it was like $5. I'm like, hell yeah, I'll take that. So I definitely want to play this at some point in the near future on the Xbox. But it's one that I've always like seen from a distance, appreciated the memes, and been like, I feel like I would really get a kick out of it. You know, and it's another Sega series that I definitely want to check out. It was tough because I was like, do I want to play Like a Dragon more than Shenmue? And ultimately I said, yeah. Like, these games definitely, just the goofy tone. I know Shenmue kind of has some precursor elements to the Like a Dragon series, but like, this just seems a lot more interesting to me in terms of like the action, the goofiness and everything. And I don't know, I think I would definitely get a kick out of it. So I hear great things about them. I want to check them out. Definitely let me know, Like a Dragon fans, which one should I start out with? Is Like a Dragon 0 a good, or Yakuza 0, is that a good one to start out with? Definitely let me know in the comments below. Should I try Like a Dragon as well? I'm guessing I should do Like a Dragon before I do Infinite Wealth. Definitely let me know. All right, we have made it to the number 1 spot. This is a series that I've almost played this year. I own a few of the games in this series, and haven't gotten to it quite yet, but I'm definitely going to get to it soon. Not as soon as like Persona, but definitely very soon. And this is a storied series. This is definitely a fan favorite series from a fan favorite producer that is interesting because I don't know how much the gameplay is going to appeal to me. But it's one of those that is just like, I feel like it's almost like I feel like it's a must play. Not that there are any must play games out there, but it's one that I really want to check out, especially because I own a few of the games. They released a collection of these games not that long ago as of this recording. And hopefully there will be more collections with some of the later games as well coming along. That's supposedly the rumor happening. And there also is a remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it, coming out very soon for one of the fan favorite games in the series. That at number 1 here is Metal Gear Solid, which might be a weird pick for some of you. You might be like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Right? No, if you know kind of the games that I like to play. There's something just super appealing about Metal Gear Solid, and it's just like, I've heard the story in these games is absolutely wild. The gameplay is going to be something that I'm going to be interested in. I think I'm going to start with the first one, because I tried playing Metal Gear Solid 3, the HD collection version back on the Xbox 360, like maybe 10 years ago, and I couldn't quite get into it, but I played like 10 minutes, right? And like, I hear back and forth debates about, should you start with 3, should you start with 1? I feel like starting with 1 is the way I'm going to go and just kind of get the core gameplay experience and then go up from there. I hear 2 in particular is really good, and 4, hopefully they re-release 4 and 5 on Master Collection Volume 2 at some point in the near future, right? I know there are rumors and rumblings about it. Hopefully they do end up doing that, especially because 4 is stuck on the PS3, right? To get that off the PS3 would be awesome. But I don't know, there's just something appealing, especially, I'll be honest, a lot of these video game series I do want to check out because of Smash Brothers. Like, crossover games like Smash Brothers, like Project Crosshome, like MVC, like, they expose me to different IPs that I then want to check out. Like, I want to see what these characters' origins are. And Metal Gear Solid, of course, from Kojima, very storied franchise, very storied series that I think will be worth checking out. I don't know if I'm going to check out Delta because I already own the original or the HD version on the Xbox. And from what they've said, this is really just a fresh coat of paint. Nothing else is really changing. Even like the voice lines are the same in Delta. But like, to be able to check out this series, I don't know. There's something from a distance that's very appealing about it, and just the legacy of it that makes me want to check it out. And it seems really fun. The stealth gameplay is the main thing I gotta see if I like. You know, the story I think I'm gonna really love, but that might be enough to carry me through. Like, there are plenty of games, like I mentioned, even with something like maybe like a Dragon, where I might not love the gameplay, but the story is goofy enough and the characters are great enough to carry me through, right? I feel like this would be the kind of series to do that for me, so that's why I really want to give it a shot some point in the near future. But that is going to do it for the list. So just a bit of a recap before ending the video. Number 10, like to clarify again, like I said, loosely ranked, right? Nothing super hard set in stone. Number 10 was the Tales of series. Number 9 was Professor Layton series. Number 8 was the Freedom Planet series. Number 7 was the Streets of Rage series. Number 6 was the Injustice Gods Among Us series. I don't know if the second one has that subtitle. I don't know. Number 5 is the Mario and Luigi series. Number 4 is the Resident Evil series. Number 3 is the Mega Man Legends series. Number 2 is the Like a Dragon or Yakuza series. Number 1 is the series of Metal Gear Solid. Colonel, I gotta play Metal Gear Solid series. So with that is gonna do it for this video. Let me know in the comments below if you've played any of these game series. Let me know which games in those series you would recommend I start with. If you haven't played any of these game series, definitely let me know if you're interested in trying any of these like I am. And let me know your rankings of these or your other favorite video game series, if there are some that you've played or some that you haven't played but you really want to as well. So with that, thank you again so much for watching, and I will catch you all on the next video or live stream. And until then, take care, keep on gaming.